Hey, 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 and welcome to today's vlog about how creating and cultivating belief in yourself helps you to reach your goals. I know it seems like something that's maybe simple, and we're also going to go over some tips to help you cultivate that belief in yourself because I don't naturally have it. I definitely tend to be someone who shies away from being like, oh, I'm so great at this, or I can do that, or whatever. And I definitely just want to share some things that have helped me to become more confident in myself, start believing that I can do things, and things like that. Because it really does make a difference when you set out after a goal. If you believe in what you're doing and you believe that you're able to do it with the work, of course, or if you set out after a goal and you don't think that you're probably going to get there. I know that it seems silly, but that mindset that you go into that goal with makes a massive difference. And I want to make sure that I share the things that I've learned that have really helped me here because it's just a major game changer for your goals and just for life in general. You know, you feel better when you cultivate this happiness and belief in yourself and your abilities. So, as always, got my list so I remember all the things that I want to share and talk about. So I'm going to start with a silly little story that really inspired me to kind of think a little bit more on this last weekend. I was digging in my suitcase in the dark, and I didn't want to go turn on the light, and I didn't even really remember if what I was looking for was in my suitcase, but I was hoping that it was. So I shoved my hand in, I reached around, and I was like, you know what? I don't think this is even in here. I'm just not even going to look anymore. So I quit after like 10 seconds because I wasn't sure, if I was really going to find what I was looking for. So later in the day, it dawned on me that yes, I did in fact pack that. I am positive that it's in my suitcase. So again, later, I shoved my hand in because I don't know why I don't just turn on lights and actually look in my suitcase when I'm looking for something. But that's besides the point. I shove my hand in, start rummaging around again, knowing that what I'm looking for is in there, and lo and behold, I find it in like 15 seconds. My hand grips it. I know that's what it is because I know that is in my suitcase. I believe that I'm going to find it. So, silly example, I know it's dumb, but it really explains very well what I'm trying to get across in this video. The first time that I went into my suitcase, I didn't really know. I wasn't sure I was going to find what I was looking for. It might happen, it might not. Shove my hand in. That doesn't give me much motivation to keep going. Later, when I was 100% positive I was going to find what I was looking for and I was going to come across that item, I shoved my hand in, rummaged around for about the same amount of time, and found it. It has nothing to do with anything other than I knew that was in there and I wasn't taking my hand out until I found that item. So, very much a similar thing when you believe you're going to get that goal. When you don't think you're going to get it and you kind of set out and you're like, I'm going to go after this. I'm not really sure how it's going to go. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do. We'll just see. There's not a good chance that you're going to keep going after that goal, because where's the motivation when you're just not sure what's going to happen? You just don't really know if you want to keep going. And B, it just makes it really hard to put in the effort. And this connects to A too, but it just makes it really hard to keep going. It makes it really hard to actually reach that goal because you're not even sure that it's something that you can do. When probably it really legitimately is. If you sit down, you put in the work and you do it, it's probably something that you can do, but it's all about your mindset. So when you go after something and you set a goal and you say, you know what, if I do this, and this, put in the work, go for the amount of time that I need to go, I'm going to get this. I know it's something I can do. You go in with an entirely different mindset. So very simple little thing here that I've already talked too long about. So now we're going to talk about how you can cultivate belief in yourself, because I know that sometimes it's not natural. We live in a society that doesn't really encourage us to, talk about how great we are and all the things that we're good at and things like that. We really always just kind of want to we see those people as cocky and stuff like that. And I'm obviously not asking you to be that, but a lot of times I think we suppress so much that, I'm good at this and I'm good at that we kind of lose it in our own minds because we don't want to feel like, oh, I'm a person who thinks I'm good at everything, because we really have a negative view of that. So here's the thing. We want to latch on to that belief in ourselves and that confidence and that self-worth in our minds. We don't have to act foolish or cocky or anything like that, but cultivating that in our minds, knowing that we can do things, it just gives us a whole different perspective on life and goals and everything. So enough about that. We're going to talk about the little things that can help you to build your self-confidence when going after goals and things like that. So the first thing that was really, really helpful to me and is really, really important here is to remember that everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and you don't want to focus on your weaknesses and beat yourself up over them. I know a lot of times we look at other people and we don't know what's going on in their head, and we don't know, how they really feel about themselves, their experience with their own goals or going after things that they want. We just kind of assume that everyone else has it all together. Why we do that, and then we assume we're falling apart, I don't know. It's a very strange kind of thing that we do, I feel like. But it's super important to remember, don't focus on the things that you perceive as flaws or faults or weaknesses. Focus on the things that you're good at. And I know we need to work on things and we can be better at things always, but there's a way to do that positively and constructively, as opposed to being like, I just stink at everything. Because it's not true. I promise you, you are good at things. You have skills and talents that are unique to you, and that's amazing. It's just a matter of remembering to build yourself up, remembering to focus on things that you're good at, and not to overlook. I think a lot of times what happens is something that comes natural to us and it's easy for us and we're just kind of good at it. A lot of times we don't put value on it. We don't place value on something that we're innately good at because it's easy for us. What's so hard? Everyone can do it, right? But that's not true. So I think it's important to remember to value our strengths and remember just to, throw some focus there. Throw some attention to the things that you're good at, to your strengths, to remember to be like, yes, you know what, I have these strengths. They are valuable. Just because I'm naturally good at them doesn't mean it's easy for everyone else. I'm good at these things, and that's pretty great. So just remembering that, and then kind of going off of that a little bit on the same thing. You don't want to dwell on mistakes. So this is something that for a while, a few years ago, I really had a hard time with. I would say something, and it kind of stems from me being a little bit of a shy person and not coming out of my shell until much later in life. And so in high school and even a little bit at first in college, if I would say something that I was like, oh man, that was really, really stupid, I would beat myself up for it. I would just play it over and over in my head like, oh my gosh, you sounded so dumb in front of that entire group of people. Or, oh my gosh, you tripped on the sidewalk in front of all those people. And just make yourself feel like a horrible, how could you have done this when probably it was a pretty normal and simple and everybody makes it kind of little, slip up or mistake or whatever it happened to be. But we can really magnify those things in our heads when it's something that we did. It seems like, it's one of those things that if someone else tripped on the sidewalk, you'd be like, oh no, I hope they're okay. But when you do it, it's like, oh my gosh, you're so stupid. How did you trip on the sidewalk? And I know that's another silly example, but we can apply it to much bigger things and more impactful things. So just remembering the fact of learning from your mistakes is always important. So taking a minute to be like, what could I have done differently when it's something bigger, of course, not for the tripping example, but in a bigger situation, what could I have done differently? How can I do this better next time? How can I improve? But after that 5-10 minutes of, going over and constructively looking at the situation, just forget about it. Once you've learned what you can learn from that situation that didn't go so well, let it go. I think that's one of the things that can be the most super, super helpful in building your own confidence and self-worth is just letting situations go. And it can be tough, I know, because for some reason our brains want to latch on to that little thing that we did wrong, but just let it go. Don't dwell on your mistakes, learn from them, and let them go. Super key there. The next thing is another, and I keep saying these are all super important and helpful because I picked the main things that helped me. So this was a really big one for me as well, and it was feeding my mind with positivity. I started this on a much smaller scale in high school just by writing a positive quote on my mirror that I would get ready in the morning. And that's kind of as far as I went with it there. I read some books off and on occasionally, trying to, feed my mind with positive things and things that would help me grow and learn as a person. But I wasn't real consistent like I am now. And I think really remembering to consistently feed your mind with positivity makes a massive difference. So what we feed our mind is what grows there. If we're constantly thinking, doom and gloom thoughts, they're just going to keep rolling out of our brain, and they're going to affect our view of the entire world. So we want to feed our minds positive thoughts, and I know it may sound silly, but the more you feed your mind that positive thoughts every day, morning, nights, sticking them up randomly at your desk at work, glancing at them, at lunchtime, I promise you it makes a massive difference in your worldview, in how you look at situations, in your attitude. Just things start to seem like they go right a little bit more often when you're constantly focusing on the positive, because that's what you're feeding your brain. So some of the things that I did was start cutting out some of the more or less positive songs in my life. I started trying to add in some things that were just a little bit more on track with where I wanted to go. I started listening to vlogs, when I'm in the car, instead of, rap music that I listened to in high school. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the vlogs for me were a much more constructive way to spend my ride. I read in the morning and night, and I know I talk about this all the time, but it's such a huge thing. It's made such an impact in my life, and I always want to share it. So just the positive listening, the positive reading, I write on little note cards, and I'm sure I have some somewhere. So literally, it does not take a bunch of expensive things to put these little positive notes around. I write them with Sharpies on a note card. It makes a huge difference. You glance at them when you're feeling frustrated or something like that. Helps so much. So feed your mind with positivity. I will close that one up. Well, kind of, because I'm going to add this little thing on the end of this. Something else that's really helpful there is to kind of replace your negative thoughts with positive ones. So this can be about your physical appearance. This can be, just like I said before, about something that happened. This can be just your attitude about an event that's going on, or something that you have to do, a project at work, your workout, anything. If you're feeling negative about it, or you're feeling negative about yourself, push that out, replace it with something positive. Your mind if you don't replace it with something positive, it's probably just going to keep pushing back, because your brain constantly has something going on in there, right? It's not just going to sit empty. So when you want to get rid of that negative thought, pick something positive. It literally can be anything. Say you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I look ridiculous today. I have nothing to wear. My hair's going crazy, blah, 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 blah. Pick something about yourself that you love. I love my smile. So, I love my smile, and just keep repeating that to yourself until your mood kind of lifts a little bit, until you've got something else to focus on. It's going to keep those negative thoughts out of your head. So just a very short little thing right there, kind of attached to feeding your mind with positivity. All right, and then the last little thing is going to be remembering that others' opinions of you and what other people think about you does not define you in any way. There's going to be people in life that we meet that just either they don't like us, or they've got something inside that makes them, kind of want to be negative, want to put other people down, things like that. So you have to take other people's opinions with a grain of salt. Now, of course, there's some days when maybe I've been feeling a little bit agitated, and Gus says something to me and I get a little bit snippy, and you know what? I have to step back, and that is me. But a lot of times, especially when it's on social media and this person doesn't know you, you haven't done anything to them, anything like that, you have to remember that what they're saying is not usually a problem with you, it's a problem with them. So what they're saying, or, if it's negative and stuff like that, it's something that we've just got to, again, let go and realize that it's not us, all right? So that's a nice short little one to tie up with. And yeah, those are just some things, and I'm going to write these out in a blog post so it's a little bit more concise, I guess, and I'm going to bold the major things before going on about them. But staying positive helps you reach those goals. I promise you it makes a massive difference in your mindset. I hope that some of this stuff was helpful. I hope that, Yeah, even if you take one thing from this, I'll be super happy and excited. So let me know what you'd like to see next. Be sure to like and subscribe and all that wonderful stuff so I can keep sharing. And yeah, just let me know what you'd like to see. I love to put out stuff that you're interested in. So whether it be a workout or a vlog or nutrition or literally anything. Thanks for joining me. I am so happy that you did, and I'll see you next time.